Hi, for this blanket I use Bernat Blanket yarn, a 6-weight yarn in blush pink, and a 10mm crochet hook. For the border and to join the squares I used Bernat Sheepy in cottontail. I've used this to make borders before, and I wanted to find an easy way to join squares, and this worked out beautifully. These are 10-inch squares made with single crochet back loop only, and I just alternated them going vertically and horizontally. I hope you enjoy it. Hi there. All right, we're going to chain 21. It's going to give you approximately a 10-inch square, 10-inch wide, and 15 rows will give you 10 inches long. That's what it did for me with a 10mm hook. You can go smaller if you like. This will make somewhere in the vicinity of a 40-inch by 50-inch blanket. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm doing 4 across and 5 lengthwise. So come into the second chain from the hook. You don't have to come in the back bump if you don't want to, but I like to, and I did all my others this way. And this is my last square. And it will take you, if you make 20 squares like I did, it will take you about 4 skeins. These come in this Bernat Blanket in the blush pink and lots of other colors. They come in a 2-pack, and they're pretty reasonably priced. Very, very soft. So you would need 2-packs or 4 skeins. Obviously, you could do other colors if you want to. They're individual squares that are just going to be joined with my Bernat Sheepy in cottontail. It's a really, really easy way to join your squares. You won't see any mistakes at all. And it's super cute. I'm making this for a little girl, friend of ours named Pepper, a little 4-year-old girl. Pink's her favorite color. And she likes all things super soft like Squishmallows. Super soft. All right, so keep going like that, just all the way to the end of your row. I'll meet you back. All right, we're at the end of our first row. At the end of each row, tighten that down a little bit. It's going to help keep it straight. And then give yourself a loose chain because you're going to be working into that coming back. We're going to be all back loop only now. There's your front loop. There's your back loop. Let's get rid of some of that glue. All right, front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop. We're only going to go into the back loop, and you are indeed going to go into that very first one. However, make sure that your working yarn is behind you, behind your hook. So into that first back loop only. They're going to be all single crochet. It's very, very easy. And it's going to be all back loop only after that very first row. Back loop only, single crochet. I want to show you at the end of this a way that I recently learned to end your row. I used to always end a back loop only row by going into the full stitch, and I mean until very recently. And it's fine. It works great. It's better than going into the back loop only on the last stitch, because if you go in the back loop only on the last stitch, it leaves a pretty good hole. I just don't like the way it looks. So going into the full stitch gets rid of that hole. However, I'll show you what happens at the end here. It pulls the line that goes across up a little bit in kind of a curve. Whoops, and we want to keep it straight. I'll tighten that one up a little bit. Try to keep your stitches as even as possible.
Now, on the very last stitch, there's your back loop only. You're going to go in there, but you're also going to go into this part of the chain that you made. Well, that's actually your very first one, so that's a little harder to get into. Also, you might want to keep a smaller hook nearby, actually even smaller than that. Keep a smaller hook nearby in case it gets too tight, just to pull through. Now you're going to pull through both of those. And then complete your single crochet, tighten that down, but make your chain loose so that when you come back around, this one should be a little easier to go into than that one was because we made a bigger chain. So that keeps this straight. Whereas, let me show you the different ways. If we went into back loop only, it leaves a bit of a hole there. Don't like that. So I've really never done that. I used to come into this full stitch, front loop and back loop, which is perfectly fine. Doesn't leave any holes. But what it does do, when you get to this, the end of this line, instead of being straight here, it pulls it up. Not a deal breaker, not terrible. But when you go through the back loop only, and then that top part of the chain, come through those, and make your single crochet. I don't know if you can see it that well in this yarn, but it keeps it straight. It's just much nicer. And then you make your chain a little bit loose, not, you know, big old loop, but a little bit loose. And come back. When you get to the end here, you're going to go into the back loop only. And then since I made that chain looser, it's going to be a little easier this time. See that? I'll meet you at the end of this row, so I'll show you.
All right, I'm on the last stitch of this second row. See this line going across? We're going to go into the back loop only, and then also into the top of that chain. Come through both of those and complete your single crochet. Pull that down, and it keeps it straight across, and you have a nice even edge here. So I just, like I said, just recently learned that, and I really prefer it. If you don't feel like going to that much trouble, just go ahead and go into the full stitch at the end. Now, whenever you start the next row, let's make our chain pretty loose. You're always going to go into the back loop of that very first stitch. You don't need to worry about going into the chain on the first stitch, only on the last stitch. And then continue down. You're going to do this for this particular pattern. You'll have 15 rows. And here's one that's done. They're not all going to look exactly alike. If you want to press them, put some steam on it underneath the towel, put the towel on top, steam it, and press them out so they're all the same size. I don't do that. You don't need to do that, because when you join them with that sheepy yarn, it's going to even them out. And I just wanted to show you, here's how, when I very first made my first square, and I wasn't sure how big I wanted to make it, I just kept folding it over until it was equal. And that's how I knew it was a square. And then I unfolded it, and it was 15 rows, and that has worked out for each one of them. But, you know, sometimes your stitches are going to be a little looser, a little tighter, so they might not be exactly identical, but it's going to be just fine. So, like I said, I made 4 rows across and 5 rows lengthwise, vertically. I'll meet you back here when I'm ready to join them with the sheepy yarn. All right, at the end of row 15, just make your chain, cut your yarn, pull it through, tighten it up. Gives you a little knot there. A lot of times I will make an invisible join, but I didn't do that here because this is all going to be hidden. We're ready to join our squares with our sheepy yarn. All right, I decided, you can hardly see that they're pink, but they are. The color is a little off. Let me see if I flip the light off, if that helps. A little bit. I decided to alternate with the rows going horizontally and vertically. You don't have to do that. I just thought it added a little interest and texture. So I have 4 10-inch squares horizontally, 5 10-inch squares vertically. So 20 squares altogether. And as I said, don't worry if they're not perfectly the same, because when you join them, just joining the stitches will make them all the same. So try not to be too perfectionistic about it. It's perfect. It's just fine. I'm using my Bernat Sheepy. This took just under 1 skein of the Sheepy. And cottontail. And I'm going to go down to an 8mm hook to make this join and the border. It's going to be super cute. Okay, we're ready to join our squares with our sheepy yarn. Remember, it hides all kinds of flaws, so don't worry. I decided to alternate these horizontal and vertical. So on one piece, a horizontal piece, you'll have the stitches from the end of either your chain row or your single crochet row. And on the other piece, it's going to be the side edge, so it's tighter and you don't have any real stitches to work into. You have rows, the ends of the rows. So the important thing is to match up the corners. And then just as you're going along, every 2 or 3 stitches, kind of make sure you're staying even. There's no right or wrong. You don't have to count stitches. I just joined here with a knot. That's all I did. And I'm going to come in that corner and come over and find the other corner. It's most important that you come into the corner. All right, pull your yarn through that stitch and the next stitch. And just pull through. That's just going to be a slip stitch. We're going to go, the rest of the stitches will be single crochet. You can do slip stitch if you want to. So just find the next available right across area to move into. Just the stitch at the end of a row. Pull through that other stitch, and single crochet. Let's go into the next stitch and just find what's across from it. Just make your life easy. Pull through, you have 2 loops there. Pull through both those loops for single crochet. And you're going to have this super fluffy edge, and you'll also be joining on the sides with your other squares. So come into your next stitch, look across. This looks good. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, looks good. There. Come through, you have 2 loops on your hook, and pull through. So go all the way down. Like I said, every now and then make sure you're on track to join up with your corner. This is such an easy way to join squares, and so cute. And on the back, all you're going to have is little horizontal stitches, and it's cute as well.
If you wanted to, you could go back along the back with the sheepy in single crochets or slip stitches, either way, and have the same look on both sides. I'm not going to do that, but you can. I'm kind of into conserving the yarn. And just continue on down. I try to get into a stitch and not into a hole if I can help it. But again, with this sheepy yarn, see how thick that is? It's going to cover up anything anyway. So continue on. When you get to the end, get your next row ready. Remember, if you're alternating, your next square is, this one would be vertical and this one would be horizontal, and just continue to join here. When you've finished doing all your horizontal rows, then we'll come back and do all the vertical rows. All right, so same thing when you get to the corner here, put your other square next to it. I'll tell you what, I'll meet you when I'm at the end here and we'll talk about it. Okay, there's one row. How cute is that? She's gonna love this. And then, like I said, on the back, it just sort of blends in, but they're just little horizontal stitches. Let's see if I can get you more light there. It looks like you just did a whip stitch on the back, but it really just blends in. And as I said, if you want to go and make another row on the back, just so it's completely reversible, you can. So let me get another two. And remember, if you're following my pattern, to alternate. This is horizontal, this one's vertical. And so I want this one to be horizontal. Let's see, let me back you up here. We do the same thing, we're just coming across. After we do all the horizontal rows, we'll come back and do the vertical rows. And again, you do what you want with the tails. If you want to hide them as we go now, you can, or you can come back and weave them in later. I'm going to come back and weave them in. So find your corner. I want this to be my corner. That looks good. And find your corner here, which is easier to do because you have a tail coming out there. There's my corner. Through. And a single crochet. I'm going to tighten that one up there because you're joining right here at the corner. Now this is just the opposite. Here you have the side edge of your square, and here you have your single crochet row. But it's the same thing. Just come across. If I can't get into 2 stitches, I don't want to go into a hole, then I'm going to come and just do 1 stitch. But I think I can do two stitches here. Yeah. I really just don't want to go into any holes if I can help it. So I've already gone into the corner there, so come across to the next stitch. Pull through. Again, you just want to make sure they're even. You're not going to have any numbered stitches because you have 15 rows here or here and 20 chains here, so they are going to be different. Just keep going back and forth and making sure that your corners line up. That's the important thing. Let's just go a few stitches down. That was my first. Already gone into that one. I'm going to go into that one. So here, let's find the end of this row. Yeah. And again, if you have trouble, go in with a smaller hook. Trying to find the end of that row. There we go. I'll just go straight across with that one as well. Pull it through. And complete your single crochet. It's very handy to have that smaller hook nearby. All right. So my next stitch is going to be here. I just want to come across from it. And there's my next stitch. Let's come into here. I've never done this before. I just decided to do it to join my squares with the sheepy yarn because I like the way that it worked out on my border on my Christmas blanket and my Christmas pillow. I thought, you know what? I can just join squares like this and it will cover up any number of flaws. You can't see where they joined. And I'm all about doing things the easy way. All right, here's my next stitch. So let's come in here. I don't want any holes, so I'm going to go into just one stitch, or one part of the stitch. It gets a little confusing because the end of the rows are harder to work into, and they don't match up exactly with your single crochet rows. But you get the hang of it. And as long as you're evenly spaced and just working straight across, and you come over, and it's working out pretty well. If it wasn't, if one was way longer than the other, I would just pull it in and make it fit. It will. And that's the beauty of joining with this sheepy yarn. All right. I think you have it. It's going to be the same exact thing when you come back with your vertical rows, except I'm going to turn them horizontally because it's easier for me to work that way. But come across and I would do all of your horizontal rows first and then come back and do your verticals and then the border. I will meet you back here when I'm ready to put the border on. I do want to mention when you come back and do your vertical rows, you can do one of two things. You can come under, you can hook in here and then skip a little bit and bring your hook over here. So it's going to bring this row of your cottontail under, or come up and join and hop over with your cottontail. Just don't skip any stitches. You're just going to hop over or under. Just make sure you do the same thing all the way so that either all of your horizontal rows are out or all of your vertical rows are on top. However you want to do it, just make sure you're doing the same thing. All right, I just wanted to show you, I've done all the horizontal joins and I'm working on the verticals. After that, it will be the border and I'll be done, unless I decide to do this on the back. I don't think I will. I think it would make it too heavy. I just wanted to show you very quickly
all I do, I decided to jump over instead of go under. I just thought it was a little bit easier, and it didn't look any different. So that's just popping over. This is going vertically. I'm just going into, I do like to crochet side to side. So that was the final stitch before I got to this horizontal bar. And then I'm going to come over and find the next stitch and pull it up and go to the next stitch. Pull it through. Nice fluffy single crochet, and I'm hopping on over to the next 2 squares to join. I like the way it's coming out. I think it's going to be super cute. It's very, 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 very soft. I think you'll enjoy it. And I'll be back when I'm ready to work on the border. Okay, I have finished joining all my squares. As you can see, it's straightened out quite a bit. And will continue to straighten out after I do the border, which will again be all single crochet. This whole blanket is single crochet. This is a queen size bed. Kind of gives you an idea. You could, if we turned it the other way, because lengthwise is 50. If we turned it the other way, it would be a nice little throw at the end of a bed. Like I said, I'm making this for a little 4-year-old, so should be a great size for a twin size bed, just to curl up with. I'm very happy with it. I think it actually looks better in person. Okay, well, we'll get on to the border then. Ready for the border. I tried a few different things. I tried just single crochet, and it looked too thin and puny compared to the joins. It wasn't as fluffy. So then I tried 2 single crochet together in each stitch, which did match up and it looked nice, but it got too heavy and too wavy because I was adding stitches. So what I ended up doing, you can just join in any corner. I just joined with a knot. You can use a slip knot if you want to. Pull through and chain 2. I decided to go with a half double crochet. I was trying to make this blanket all single crochet to keep it super simple, but half double crochet is not difficult. You're going to have 3 in each corner, so let's go with 1. And all the half double crochet is yarn over, go into your stitch, pull your yarn through. You have 3 loops on your hook, and pull through all 3, and there's your half double crochet. So that was I'm going to count my chain 2 as 1 chain 2, and then 1, and then 2. So 3 all together in a corner, because that's going to help you keep it rounded. Now when you're coming down the side, I found with this half double crochet, I didn't need to try and work into just one of the loops on the edge. Just go right into the whole stitch at the end of each row, and it works out just fine. The half double crochet ends up being nice and fluffy, fairly equal to what the join looks like. And remember, you have 15 rows when you're coming down the side, and you have 20 stitches when you're going across horizontally. I'm not concerned about counting. I'm just going to come back every now and then and make sure it looks straight. Oops, I missed my stitch. There we go. And make sure that you're always on that. You have that loop in your hook. The sheepy yarn can be a little tricky, but I think it's well worth it. It's so cute. I just want to work you down to where we are at our join. You can fast forward. It's a whole lot faster when you don't have to try and just find one loop.
Let me go back and look and make sure I look fairly even, and I do. Let me show you what it looks like on the back. Nice and fluffy. Right, I'm in the stitch just before the join, and when we have a tail, just going to go right under it. Whenever I come to the edge, I've already done it on most of these, I just tied a knot, and then we're going to work over our tails just to hide them, and they're really not going to go anywhere. They're going to be nice and secure. But when you get to the end of your join row here, just go right into it with a half double crochet. Work over that tail and three loops, and that just joins it up nicely. You can bring that tail under. Now we're on the horizontal, so we have stitches to work into, and just work under that tail for 3 or 4 stitches. You don't have to do the whole, depending on how long your tail is. You just pull it kind of snug. Like that, and then just cut it. Make sure you don't cut too close to your stitches though. Always make sure. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. Every corner, 3 half double crochet, then continue with half double crochet. When you come back and meet up with that first chain 2, you're just going to slip stitch right into it, make a chain, cut your yarn, pull it through tightly, and you'll be done. I will meet you when I'm ready to fasten off. Wow, that border worked up really quickly. I'm all the way back around to my very first corner. I was so surprised when I got to the last row. I thought I still had another row to go. I'm very pleased with the way it's coming out. Here's my first chain. Just going to connect with a slip stitch, just loosely chain. And scissors. Let's cut. And pull that on through. Tighten it up. Along the border, every now and then I'll have a little piece that I need to clip, but I have tucked them all in. They all were knotted and then tucked in. Now on the back, this is so cute, guys. It is much prettier in person. It's a very pale pink, but not quite this pale. Now on the back, I have still ends that I need to tie and then weave in just a little bit. Wherever. There. Wherever I have tails from my squares that I never did weave in. So I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go ahead and run it through the washer and dryer, and that way you can feel confident that it's going to hold together. Oh my goodness, soft, so soft. So, oh, thick and cushy and soft, and yet not super heavy. Heavy enough to be cozy though. I like my blankets to have a little bit of weight to them. Isn't that cute? So cute. All right, so I'll be back when I've finished everything and have run it through the washer and dryer.
The blanket ended up being 54 inches long by 42 inches wide. It went through the laundry just beautifully, washed and dried it. It's even softer than it was. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't for all my free patterns. Thanks.